All right, here's a recap on the court's order finding that Craig Wright is not Satoshi Nakamoto, at least a brief recap, and also just some updates here as to what's to come with some exciting announcements. This is Gavin, Mehl. So, while I was there in London for the very first day of the Dev conference, a 231-page order and judgment came out from the High Court determining that Craig Wright is not Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of the Bitcoin white paper, the owner of the database rights. And the judgment was, it laid out background facts such as procedural histories in the case, as we've kind of discussed in this channel in the past, and it discussed legal principles and the burden of proof of pleading what a credible witness would be. Most of the judgment addressed COPA's numerous allegations. If you remember, COPA alleged that Craig Wright had forged a bunch of documents, and it kind of went through Dr. Wright's attempt to prove that he was Satoshi Nakamoto was insufficient, and that COPA had sufficiently established that Wright had forged documents. The judge reviewed allegations in detail in the appendix and found that Wright had extensively forged documents in support of his claim. The judgment recounted about how Wright had changed explanations, where flaws were exposed, and then the judge, he also found that Dr. Wright was, quote, extremely slippery as a witness. And then, quote, judge, quoted, he lied repeatedly. And then he also, that Wright couldn't be relied upon. Other witnesses, the court found Stephen Matthews and Robert Jenkins were also found, the court appeared that they lied in their testimony. So, by contrast, the judge found that COPA's witness, Mr. Madden, the Madden report, he was very reliable, very credible, and also that he was a qualified expert witness. And the accusations that Mr. Madden laid, and the accusations that Mr. Madden lacked expertise or independence in the right objections, they were insufficient. They were all overruled. So, on the key identity issue, the judgment concluded overwhelmingly against Dr. Wright, and based upon the considerable quantity of evidence of objective fact heard during the trial, the judge ruled that Dr. Wright is definitely not Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of the Bitcoin system, or the creator or the author of the white paper. So it was an extremely lengthy document, and really would take a lot more of an extensive commentary for me to go through the whole thing. That's a brief summary in 2.5 minutes for you as to what it says. Some of the commentary that I made initially on this channel as I was going through the case every day is that if the court, I always said that this case would go, from the beginning, that Wright would lose the case at trial. I did make the prediction that he would win on appeal. I'm still going to stand on that. And here's why. Now, contrary to what the court believes here, I do believe that the court, I think it's on paragraph 126 of the judgment in that area. I'm not looking at it right now, but basically that the court failed to address. Let me just pull it up specifically. Yeah, it's going to take a much longer video than I wanted to do today for me to go through. But in summary, okay, there are specific parts of the judgment that the court looked to the objections raised by the right side regarding the credibility of the expert witness, regarding the independence of Madden. He did look at that, but okay, I don't want to go too much because I want to really go into detail and show why. But as a preliminary, as a non-lawyer's perspective from California who doesn't know the UK law, right? I don't really know these, but I did read them. It says I don't see that. It's my humble opinion that there's an error here on the admission of the Madden report because of the existing law that was cited by the right side. So that's why I think the case will go back on appeal on that specific ground. Now, that should be also said that this should not be considered any sort of hope or hopium, because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter here. And that's because what happens is that, this is somewhat of a distraction. And what really matters is what are people building on Bitcoin? How are people, creating adoption, building businesses? including myself. Like, what are we doing to help make the world better by creating transparency in the blockchain and creating this casual payments, right? It's like peer-to-peer casual payments, like it talks about in the white paper. And yesterday I had a great interview with Kevin Healy, and he was one of the guys that talked about Bitcoin being in the white paper. Casual payments in the white paper are actually the purpose of Bitcoin, just casual everyday payments. So, how are we every day doing our best to try to help adopt that, and why it's important? Why is it important? Well, think about it. Is the money in all these countries around the world valuable as it used to be? Do we want to have our own independent currency, our own independent way to transact as the people with a public ledger, a public blockchain? I sure do. So that's why I'm doing my part every day to try to help spread the word a little bit more. And a couple things to announce also that are coming up. I'm working on a concept of a Twitter space. I got some really amazing help on this in the back, and that I'm going to be bringing forward. It's basically just the opposite of YouTube. I mean, YouTube being the number 2 search engine in the world, Twitter is becoming this amazing platform to communicate with, like live stream, because it doesn't have any censorship. And so while I'm not able to stream on YouTube because of the censorship issues, when I stream, my channel got striked, so when I did do live streams, all of those videos caused me strikes, so I got to be cautious when I have people on the video and things get talked about that are not allowed. So, that's one of the reasons I don't stream on YouTube, and I'm going to start doing it on Twitter though. And I think it can really bring up a lot of cool commentary about things that'll be a lot more expanded. So watch for that. It's coming soon on X. Now, the other thing is I've got a video coming out on Sunday, which is going to be Matt Walsh. He's a singer of a rock band called Be Love and Be You, who I met in San Francisco. And he's also just a really open, clear-headed thinker, very spiritual. He knows charts and Bitcoin. He's very familiar with Archaics. We talk a little bit about Jason Bashir's from Archaics and his perspective, Matt's perspective on what's going on in the entire Bitcoin space and his background. It's a really freaking different, totally different interview and of a person that is very unique. So watch for that on Sunday. I think you'll get a lot out of it. It's along the lines of the Crypto Rick stuff that a lot of people have liked, some people don't like. So either way, it is what it is. I'm just providing the information. So the other thing is that I've got in the works right now, I for sure have David Pierce coming back on next week. I think it's on Thursday or Friday. So he'll be back on to discuss the court judgment, being an attorney. I know he'll have had time to review it. And then also I'd like to hear maybe some comments about the patents from nChain. One of the people I met at the nChain conference was not the nChain conference, but the conference in London was Robert Alzen. He's the chief IP officer for nChain. He and I have been in communication over email, and I'm reaching out to him to try to bring him on to ask him about the nChain patents. He's the he's the head guy over there over all the IP. So while I want to hear what Mr. Pierce has to say, being a patent attorney, I also want to hear what the IP attorney for nChain has to say. And I'm going to be proposing a debate between the two. And this would be like a real full-fledged, all, gloves off legal debate between two patent attorneys over the intellectual property by none other than Dr. Wright, mostly, right? The nChain patents. So I've got questions, that I want answered. Are these patents just issued to anybody? Could anybody just go out and get these? Or are these actually very, very rare, very hard to get? There's so much. I want them to answer these questions from their expert perspectives, because I don't know. I really have no idea, and I would love to get their perspective. So that is in the works. It's probably going to be a ways out because there's a lot of red tape that has to go through the approval on that, with attorneys involved, so they don't just, they can't just pull through, and then talk out like a random guy like me. I'm not a freaking attorney, just so you guys know. I hope you know that. People think I'm an attorney. I'm not. I just know the freaking law, dude. I know the law. I'm a non-lawyer. All right. So So that's why I can talk openly about this stuff, because I don't answer to nobody other than the Most High. Okay. And so, I know what I'm doing. As long as I'm not out there harming other people, following the golden rule, then it's all good. Okay. That being said, I do have a lot of other legal, like law stuff that I do talk about in like private forums. I think I'm going to probably start talking about that a little bit more. And so people can kind of get, more information on that, that is really freaking, like, while I was there in London, I was like, dude, I guess the amount of information I've talked about publicly on that is very limited. But when I met people in person and they started like asking me, like, these are the things they wanted to do, and I'm telling them how I'd already done them and how they work specifically, I was just watching people's, minds get blown on some of these subjects. And I'm thinking, wow, people really are interested in this. Well, who isn't interested in freedom? So I don't want to talk too specifically about it, but I've talked a little bit about it, political status being one, as probably the most important of the subject. So, but it's complicated, but I'm going to talk a little bit more of that in the future. Watch for that interview coming out on Sunday, and then David Pierce next week. And then hopefully I can give a little kind of a summary here on this court case with Dr. Wright. Ultimately, one other thing on the Wright case, it said, is there are no other equitable relief that's been granted. So they didn't grant an injunction where Wright is guilty of something. All it is a civil case. Now, COPA could apply for that, and there may be a hearing on that. We'll see. We don't know. So we don't have any issues on that yet. But Wright did say right after this came out, like the same day, that he's appealing it. And so it'll be interesting to hear what he does on his appeal, man. See how it goes. I think he's got probably another 10 days or so to file that notice of appeal in. So I imagine that he's feverishly working on it. Interesting how, someone was selling off a lot of BTC, from the initial Satoshi era wallets again. I think it was a lot. There was a lot from the... I don't know if it was the Silk Road wallets. That wasn't Satoshi era, but they were originally like old Silk Road. Was it Silk Road wallets? Like a lot, like thousands and thousands of BTC. And then there was more 50 like bulk sell orders from the early wallets. Clearly, it's not Dr. Wright, according to the court. So I wonder who that was, though. It's someone else that was doing that. So very, very interesting to see how it plays out. And, hey, like I said, I still think this is going to go back on appeal. That's my humble opinion. But don't put any hope into that. It should be no stopping going forward and taking massive action. A lot more to come, dude. I'm freaking nose to the grindstone on some of this. I do want to do an interview with some other people like Latif Ladid, who I met in person. Also, Ian Gregg. I definitely want to do another, a formal follow-up with him. I got a list of people that I need to talk to. So I'm kind of building the pipeline on that. All right. So it's a great day. That's all I got. Gavin Mehl coming at you. Be sure to subscribe. Hit the like button. Dude, freaking, hit the notification bells. Leave a comment. Share the video on Twitter, man, or YouTube or Facebook or wherever you are. Get the freaking word out there, dude. It's a great day. And where will I see you? I'll see you at the top.